Namaste, everyone. Very happy to be part of this wonderful initiative and program, and always feel at home when I'm in the presence of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo here at Auroville. Education has been something close to our heart at Anaadi Foundation. In fact, anyone who has gone through the what we call as modern or contemporary education, for them changing the education will be close to their hearts. Three dimensions actually struck us. One, of course, we sort of reflected on how we went through our own education. Second, how our children are going through, our own children going through education in the mainstream school. The third aspect is how children in the society are going through education. I would also always mention this that, I was a student of biology in grade 11 and 12. So I would study in detail about the heart, the lungs, the kidney, the cells, and whatever intracellular, whatever is happening. But there would be no insight on how to keep the body healthy. There would be hundreds of diseases discussed over there, which probably, with the grace of God, we would never contract. But going into details of how those problems are solved, but nothing on how do you actually stay healthy to avoid any illness to strike you. And even a regular class would be like, 45 minutes of context switching, which is like morning you come in, you have physics, you have chemistry, you have biology, and all of that. And they all appear to be disconnected subjects. So, what we call as integration or integral part of it never emerged out of that educational process. And when we observed our own children, they were just happy going to school. But when the pandemic struck, they were at home. They missed their friends more than the content of the education, to be honest. So then we reflected that something needs to be done. And then we started Dharma Gurukulam in 2021 at our ashram. Now about 40 children are studying. Every year we intake about 10 children. And at the core of the philosophy is what is called the Panchakoshiya Vikas. The Panchakoshas are mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad, where the Upanishads talk about us being beyond these physical, emotional, cognitive dimensions. In fact, us being the Panchakosha Atita. But then, in order to realize that we are beyond the Panchakosha, anyway, we are born here, we need to work with these koshas in order to be able to interact with this plane of reality. But if the education that we are offering in institutions, it's not holistic. I was reading the write-up that was sent to me, where we are not trying to do a better job. I'm just paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact words. We are not trying to improve what is already there. Not a delta change, but a fundamental shift in how education is offered. That was what was written in the paragraph. That's such an important thing is because if we as a group that is interested in transforming education does not invest on that, it will always be patchwork. It will always be like the roads that we travel outside. There will be a pothole, you cover it up with tar. It will still be a bad road. Unless we do some research, fundamentally transform how a sustainable road is created. You can even choose to go back to the mud road, but still it's a informed decision that you take after a lot of thought process. And that's why we started the Gurukulam in 2021. And as part of the Gurukulam, We also have a Goshala. So every child gets to interact with at least one cow. So as we increase the number of children, we also increase the number of cows. So when I say 40 children, we have 40 human children and 40 cow children at the Gurukulam. And this ensures that the emotional development happens. In fact, we joke that all the exam, the chanting preps happens with the cows. So when you come to the Gurukulam, you will hear the cows chant Bhagavad Gita or Leelavati. Because the children go there because they are non-judgmental. They don't tell you you're, it's wrong whatever you're chanting. So they go and practice all that before the cows. So this happens. There's a very healthy exchange between various species. Otherwise, we are just interacting with human species and they can hardly provide solutions beyond what they know. But then when they interact with plants, when they interact with animals, especially Gomata, there's a huge transformation that happens in the emotional dimension of the child. And living in nature, living in openness, even including the chanting process, all ensure that the Pranamaya Kosha is enhanced. When we say Pancha Kosha, it is Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. The Annamaya is the physical dimension. The Pranamaya is the vital dimension. The Manomaya is the emotional dimension. The Vijnanamaya is the cognitive dimension. And the Anandamaya is the spiritual and aesthetic dimension. So if all these dimensions are not taken care of through education, I do see that the integral education is something that takes care of all these dimensions and much beyond this as well. If it doesn't take care of this, I often say that a child who's going through the mainstream education, if you draw a picture of the child, it will be a big brain with a weak body. Because there's so much cognitive input that's going on, but there's no input on how to take care of yourself. Like how are the beauty and aesthetic dimensions important? All this is not brought as part of the education. And that is why investing in transforming this education becomes very, very important. When we go through the records in history, I'm sure anybody looking at Indic education will go through the works of Professor Dharampal. Professor Dharampal in the 1960s, he accessed the British records and then he brought out what was there in Bharat before the colonized education was there. And he observed that in the Bengal and Bihar province alone, there were more than 1 lakh schools. So now we talk about gross enrollment ratio, pass percentage and all of that. But there every home, every thinnai, every banyan tree, every chatram was a possibility to offer education. And the education was very much connected to life. Now what we do is that after grade 12, we put them in a college, they complete college and then they're just left high and dry without any input on how to lead your life after that. Including, entering grihastha having your own children, or even being an independent person. That education is not offered. Whereas when you look at it traditionally, there is an acharya who is associated with the family, who always at different stages of life advises you on what is the shastric way of leading your life at that stages of life. So Shastra means the science, the body of knowledge that is there at that point in time, right? But now we are completely disconnected from that. And even when we take up research for that matter, we teach at IIT Delhi on a course on yoga, neuroscience and cognition. When we look at a good amount of research that is happening in education or yoga or any of these domains, there is an urgent need only to look at the cause and effect. So I provide this intervention, what is the outcome of that? I do this pranayama, will I be good at concentration? In fact, I was looking at some of the research, the monks, the Buddhist monks who do meditation for more than 10,000 hours, who are considered to be the fit subjects, quote unquote, fit subjects for research, they are given a Stroop test to undergo. Stroop test is some basic cognitive test. So what happens is that That is why you see in modern research a lot more things in terms of phenomenology, the first person accounts, the complexity theory, where there is an emergence of many things happening, where you look at many parameters and how does this emerge is being studied. So there is a good need where there is a multidimensional focus that is possible. Emergent phenomena are studied. And not just the process and content alone, but the participant in the education process also becomes equally important. At Anaadi Foundation, we have the Center for Indigenous Knowledge Systems where we connect with indigenous education educators throughout the world. Could be Maoris in New Zealand, could be Incas in Peru, some Native Americans, Colombia, Kenya, small groups of people. And we observe that most of what is offered as part of the indigenous education, I mean, for lack of better word, I know this word indigenous goes through its own interpretations, but I think you know what I mean by indigenous. So it's value centric, it's not value neutral. The second aspect is that it's nature centric. The third aspect is that the teacher is not the only custodian of knowledge. So here in traditional or mainstream education, there is a one-way flow of knowledge from the teacher to the taught. The other aspect is that it's multi-generational learning. So it's not just one generation teaching to the other, but two, three generations teaching to the younger ones. For example, at our own ashram, my in-laws live in the ashram. So they are the grandparents of all the children who study in the Gurukulam. So any simple ailment that they have, like a cold or a cough or a wound or whatever, the first thing that they do is they run to these grandparents, and my mother-in-law teaches all the herbal medicine to the children. So whether it is vriksha, which is tree, pashu, cow, manushya, humans, the vaidyam for these can be taken care of through simple knowledge of vata, pitta, kapha and the herbs that are there available in the surroundings. But this, the previous generation cannot, the immediate previous generation cannot say. It requires one or two generations above to actually bring out this knowledge, which I feel elders in the system are able to do this. So when there is a community like this, it's not just about one way flow of knowledge. It's about the emergence of knowledge across many generations, so that the elders in the system, based on whatever historical knowledge that they have, can also be brought forth. And that becomes a very valuable contribution for the younger generation to grow up.